strengths and skills as you're moving forward in your career. But keep in mind your sport, keep in mind how you're going to feel going back into that sport if you can't do it at the moment, because I think that that's quite relevant to this as well. Okay, so there is a difference between strengths and skills, but they get mixed up and they can interact with each other. So I'm getting a message. What's coming up? I'm breaking up. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, let's see if yeah, your voice was breaking up a little bit, not the presentation, but your microphone was breaking up a little bit. I don't know why, but yeah, let's see.
I think it might be a delay on the feed.
Yeah, it's clearer now, I think.
Okay. Let's just see how it goes. If it really gets terrible, I'm very sorry and we'll have to stop. There's a difference between strengths and skills, but each one feeds the other. So leadership is a strength, and there's all kinds of parts to leadership which have different strengths, but they all pull together into a very strong characteristic for you. But management can be seen as a skill as well, because if you can learn to be a manager, or you can learn to manage a project, or you can learn to manage a situation without having to be the leader of that situation. So just bear that in mind. But of course, as you learn to be a manager and that skill, then you can develop your leadership strengths as well. Whenever you're working in your whole life, where do you need to show your strengths and skills? You can show it on your CV, on your LinkedIn profile, in the interview, and of course on the job. Because when I'm working with people who are going to look for work, they're like sort of very keen on getting everything together to get through and get the job offer. But in the end, you also have to perform in the job, and you want to develop in the job as well. So you need to be considering, what strengths and skills do I need to develop now I'm in the job? How much further can I go with this? But let's take it a step at a time. So in the CV, where do you show them? Where do you add your strengths? If you think about strengths as characteristics, you can put them in your summary. And I always suggest that you have a summary on your CV. You can highlight your achievements and your strengths in any role that you're doing, so in your experience. But where do you add your skills? And there you can show all your higher education and relevant training and courses. So skills that you're learning on the job, skills that you need for the job, that's where you can add them there. And you can list your language competencies. And I say this quite often because sometimes people forget what skills they have. People who are very good at languages and have several languages sometimes forget how many they have, in the sense of they might speak English, they might speak Dutch, but they might have come from Croatia, so obviously they speak Croatian, and then they don't put Croatian on their CV because they don't. It's just their native language, so they're not like thinking it's important. And I think that that's the same about courses that you do at work, where you're learning to utilize different tools. Don't forget about them, because they can go on your CV too, and they are part of your skill set. I use this CV template. I hope you can all see it. Do I need to pull this over here? It's very basic. You can always jazz it up later, but this is where I like to see personal profile or summary, and this is where your education can come in. And I always suggest you split out your academic to your coursework, to your diplomas and vocational training. So this would be anything you did at university or at educational institution, and this would be things that you did relating to work or relating to building your career. Okay. I'll move this back over here now. I don't know whether you see it in the same place as me. So on your LinkedIn profile, you have many opportunities to highlight your strengths and skills, which I think is great. I love LinkedIn. So you have a summary on LinkedIn as well. Some people don't use it, but it's there. You can add that section into your LinkedIn profile. Obviously, you have your experience, the different jobs that you've done, the different roles, and you have education and training sections. But you also have a strengths and skills section, and I think that that's really important. And I'm now going to scare Shay by showing some examples. And I used her profile, seeing as I hadn't anybody else to ask, so I've stolen. So first of all, this is the top of Shay's skills and endorsements. This is from a telephone, the mobile phone view, and you can only see the top 3. So you have to think, what do you want to show on the top 3 skills and strengths that you have that people are going to find immediately when they look at your profile on their phone. So Shay's got employee engagement, project management, and change management. You can put as many as 50 skills in there, but those 3, I think, well, the top 3, you want them to be the ones that people immediately say, yes, that's who she is, that's what she's about. And then I don't know if everybody knows about this, but you can download a PDF of anybody's profile, which is always very handy if you kind of want to see an overview of how people see you. So you can download your own PDF. And the things, so it looks like a CV or a resume. You can even use it as that. Shay's got here the top skills are here. And the certification, she's got Prince 2 certification here. And then here she's got a summary. And here she's got a headline. So everything's like kind of there on that PDF. And you can think about, how do you want to present yourself? Does this actually show people, this is what I look like, this is who I am? I think it's important sometimes to look at it how other people see it, and to think, am I putting all the right things in here that I want people to see when they look at me? So then, how do you show your strengths and skills in an interview? Because that's the most important thing. And these days, especially now, everybody's doing interviews online. How do you present yourself online in those interviews? And I'm hearing sort of anecdotally about people, they used to always be like that initial interview on a phone, which was by the HR person, and she would just be saying, yeah, the director wants to see you, and can you come in next Monday, and it'll be this, that, and the other. And now that phone call is actually your first real screening of an interview screening time, and you need to be able to talk about your strengths and skills there on that phone call, which could be 30 minutes, could be an hour, and be ready to do that even on that phone call. And in any interview, you need to show your strengths and skills in 3 different ways. First of all, have you got the skills, expertise, and experience to perform the job, the role that they're asking? Are you enthusiastic and interested in the job and the company? I think that's really important. And will you fit into the team, the culture, and the company? So these are all questions that are asked. Well, these are the answers people want to be able to answer when they're doing the interview. And so they ask in lots of different ways, but all the time you're coming back to your strengths and skills. So a straightforward one about you know, can you do the job, is like, you know, what's your experience in whatever the job is, and you can tell them. But how do you use your strengths and skills to say you're enthusiastic and interested in the company and the job it's in? You know, maybe the job is similar to the one you're in already, that helps. Maybe it's the job, the step up, and then you want to say that you want to develop these strengths moving forward, and the company, this particular company, is the ideal place to do it. But you have to think about how you can keep showing them what value you can add to them with your strengths and skills, and that they want to have you. And then the third way, will you fit into the team and the culture and the company? So there you need to be thinking about what skills and strengths are they looking for to fit into this team? How, am I a good team player? Or am I a leader, and they want a leader who can then also be in the management team? Whichever way you're doing it.
Okay, Jane, sorry.
Trying to bring in your strengths and skills.
You just broke up a lot more at that time. So
yeah.
For some reason your audio was fine in the beginning, and all of a sudden it's started breaking up a lot more just now.
Okay, so did it break up before this slide?
No, it was more in the last question you were talking about now.
Okay, I just got a message that my internet is unstable, and I don't know why that would be, because there's nothing happening apart from me. Can you still hear me now?
Yeah, now it's clear again. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure why either. But when we go to breakout groups, I'll have you sign in and sign back out again. But
okay.
But yeah, maybe turning off your video for now could improve the audio as well. So at the bottom of your screen, just click stop audio for a moment. Or stop video, sorry, not audio. Don't stop the audio. Stop the video. There we go.
Okay. Okay, I'll just move on then from this slide. So one of the things that's important is to look at the job descriptions to see whether the job fits your strengths and skills, or how you can make your strengths and skills fit the job, and whether you can understand the company. So I've pulled up a couple of examples of job descriptions. The first one is Adidas, who actually have, they're really clear, actually. I thought it's very detailed. This job is actually up and running, posted 2 days ago. Project manager e-commerce, temporary for 6 months. But they break it down here into the requirements are very, very clear and very detailed. So you've got your education and experience, you've got your soft skills, and you've got your hard skills. And in a way, you can see from this what they're looking for, and do you match that? So if we come to the soft skills, good communication skills, especially when interacting with different levels of business, ability to work in a fast-paced environment with different international cultures, and solutions-oriented approach and entrepreneurial mindset, and good numerical and analytical skills. So you can kind of look at that as kind of your strengths. And then on the other side, the hard skills that they're looking for: strong MS Office skills, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I'm going to skip the travel. Ability to travel domestic and international as required. Well, I suppose it's a skill. Basic experience and broad understanding of IT. And working knowledge of agile working methods, e.g. Scrum or Kanban. And working knowledge of PMI methods, ideally with certification. So those are things that you can actually sort of raise your skill sets in that part by getting your certification and knowing how you actually use these different things. But the soft skills are the ones where you really need to think, right, are my communication skills? How can I show that I can communicate really well? The next one I have as an example is Lightree Ventures. which is HR, so they call it Chief Happiness Officer. And they're really not asking, they're asking for things, but they're not being very clear about what they want. But I guess that if you're that type of person that thinks, oh yeah, I'm really creative and I would really like to try it because I want to try new ideas, this really matches my skill sets, then you'd really fit. The main thing that I think is really funny here is at the end they ask for English language, preferably Dutch, and Mandarin is a bonus, which I think is a really long stretch, but you never know, and it could be an idea just to, you know, pop into teach yourself Mandarin for 2 lessons at least to know how to say hello before you go for the interview. But that's a completely different way of setting out the way they're looking for your skill set, and how you can manage to adapt your skill set to what they're looking for, or match your skill sets to adapt to somebody like Adidas, who are really, really clear about, we want this, we want that, we want the other. So that's where I'm going with that one. I'd like you to go now into breakout rooms, so that even if I'm breaking up, you don't need to worry about that anymore. Before we go into them, this breakout's going to be about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. These are the rules that we like to stick to. So in the group, you're all equal. There's not a leader of the group. So make sure that everybody has enough time to speak. Please police it yourself. And yeah, it'll last about 25 minutes, and then we'll come back into the main platform to hear summaries from how you've been speaking and the question and answers that you might have on my presentation, if you've been able to hear it. So there's questions that I'd like you to think about as you go into the breakout rooms. Can you name your top strengths? Can you give an example of when you used one of them? And is there a skill or strength you'd like to develop? And what I'd like you to do also is to think about the sports question that you were talking about before. Is there something that, because you're working from home at the moment, or because you're not working, that you're not actually using something? Is there something that you could start to practice again that you haven't done for a while? Or is there something you need to be aware of, that you need to continue to develop your communication skills in a different way because we're all working online? Perhaps that's one way to go. Okay. Oops, why has it gone backwards? I'm breaking up.
Well, I've copied and pasted the questions in the chat as well, so everybody should be able to see them in the chat. So, and the chat, I believe, like goes to your breakout room, so you'll be able to see it there.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and you can slot everybody into the breakout rooms. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So I have everyone in a breakout already, and we'll send timing updates. So just look at the top of your screen. There's a little blue bar that pops up with updates from us. But with that, I will go ahead and open all the rooms. Oh, my tab. I thought I assigned you. 1 second. There we go. Okay.
So obviously there's a problem with my audio or something, or internet connection.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, because like right now it's fine, and when we were talking before and the introduction you were fine. It was just this last part. So I would say, yeah, maybe like if you could, well, 1 second, let me.
So if anybody has any questions, and if not, that's okay. And hopefully you can all hear me. There's nothing coming up. Okay. Well, if nobody has any questions, then I want to close this session now. I just want to Oh, wait a minute. When do you share your strengths in interview? Okay, so when do you share your strengths in an interview? Shay says. I think that the most important thing is to make sure that you have stories which show your strengths, so that when you ask questions, you can utilize the answer in a way to show your strength. So you don't have to say, well, this is my greatest strength. Although they could ask you that question, what's your greatest strength? But whatever story, whatever question you're asked, the story will reveal your strength as well. So that's when you can do it. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Jane. That is, what I find interesting is the equality in interviews. So you give a lot of advice on how to promote yourself, but how do you deal with the other side? So in terms of me asking them, so why do you want me to work for you?
Well, I mean, in any interview, you have got space to ask questions. So it's always good to have a few things prepared, questions to prepare before you go in. I think it's a good idea. Hopefully you will know who's interviewing you, so you would know the level of, you know, whether that person's a technical person, if he's going to be your direct line manager, or she's going to be your direct line manager, or if it's the HR person. So that's where you can ask questions which show about yourself, but relevant to the person you're talking to as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, true. But what I see is a lot of people are also a bit afraid, and I think you maybe refer to it. I can't recall exactly, but what I always find important is to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So don't put yourself down in terms of I need to get this job, but make it on an equal level. So they are interested in you and you are interested in them. Instead of, because some people are just summing up all the things that they knew and they're just too afraid to ask in terms of to get to the mutual interest.
Yeah. I also think that sometimes people, you know, we are clever. We are all clever. And sometimes you've already read about the company, so you know the answer to this question, and you think, well, I don't need to ask that because I know that they're expanding into China, and I don't need to ask how they're doing that. But sometimes it's important to actually verbalize it so that they understand that you know about them. And even if you're asking a question that you know the answer to in a way, but you're showing you one of your qualities by asking the question. I'm coming to the questions now. Wally asked a question.
And Matab has a question right before Wallace.
Okay, Matab, how do you show in an interview you're a good fit in the team? You need to know. In a way, you need to be able to understand what a team is. I think that in any interview, you usually get at the beginning of it, they brief you about the company, about the team. So based on that, that gives you a point of reference of what the team's going to be like, if it's a team that you recognize or not. So that's one way of doing it. I mean, you do have to listen. In any communication, listening as a skill is the most important thing. And then sometimes you can actually ask, what's the team like? How big is the team? That would help, you know? Does that answer your question, Meta?
Thank you.
Okay. And Wale, how is it best to talk about your strengths without sounding arrogant? Well, really then it's a case of having a story to explain a situation that you've been able to handle. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, people want to recruit you because you're going to add value to their company. So you can show that how you work will add value to their company. What you did in the past added value to the last company you were at. Then you're showing your strengths and skills without being arrogant. It's a concrete example they want to see. And so it's a good idea to, okay, you say you've got leadership. I'm not disputing you have leadership skills, but if leadership is the main thing that you're trying to get a job, then think about how a concrete example of when you took leadership in your last role. Yeah. And there was another question I've missed it. Hang on. Did somebody else ask? Did Justine ask a question?
Yeah, Justine's question. When asked to share a weakness, how can this be done?
Oh, when asked to share a weakness, then what's a weakness? You know, I mean, I know that they sometimes say, "What's your biggest weakness?" And it's like, it's a horrible question, but nothing. You know, everybody's around a person. Some strengths are better than others, or more, or you use them more. But it doesn't mean that you have weaknesses that are never going to improve. You know, so I think that a good way around, depending on how they ask the question, is to say one of the strengths I want to develop is, and then I'm really weak in communication skills, so I think I would like to have a communications course. That's probably the wrong way to go about it, but I think it's a good way to say things that you want to develop in the future, and as something that you want to experience. Okay, does that answer it? Okay, so one of the strengths like to develop. I don't know. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Any more questions? I'm losing track. Nobody's saying anything, that's true. Okay, if there's no more questions, I want to thank you all for attending today, and Alice for persevering and getting here late. And guys, if you haven't already joined the Empower Amsterdam community, feel free to follow us on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. We're having another chat next week. That's called, I forgot, Shay, what's it called next week?
Holistic goal setting.
Thank you. Holistic goal setting. Oh yeah, and there's a feedback form to fill in, and it's at the bottom in the chat. And that would be great if you could do that, because we want to keep improving these conversations that we're having. So all the feedback that we get is really valuable. And thank you for your time. And I'll see you some other time. Oh, LinkedIn. Yes. And if you're not already linked with us, everybody, then please link. You can put your LinkedIn links in the chat. And I'll link with you all later anyway, because I've got the list of who's here, so that's when I'll do it. But have a great weekend. It's going to be lovely weekends. Stay in, eat Easter eggs.
Eat Easter eggs, chocolate.
Yeah.
Skype with your family and friends.
Yeah, and that's all. Okay. Is the stuff? Yeah, all the chat will go to you after this, so you'll be able to get the LinkedIn messages from the chat as well.
Yeah, maybe give them a few seconds to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you again, Clarissa, so much for producing for us. You're awesome.
You're welcome. No, thank you for everyone that came in, and there was no tech issues, so that makes my job easy. So, I mean, Jane, we had a little bit of with the I'm gonna pause it.